Today we can discuss the topic the construction and derivation of a moving coil galvanometer or ballistic galvanometer. This is the figure representing a moving coil galvanometer. We can go through the parts of this galvanometer. Okay, it consists of a rectangular thin copper wire wound on a non-metallic frame of ivory. It consists of a rectangular thin copper wire wound on a non-metallic frame of ivory, and it is suspended with the help of a phosphor bronze wire. It is suspended with the help of a phosphor bronze wire, and on that wire a small circular mirror is placed, and this is the rectangular coil which is wound on a non-metallic frame of ivory, and in the lower position of this fiber there is a hairspring is attached with this, and the whole system is placed in between. That is, this hanging system or suspended system is placed in between the poles of a strong horseshoe magnet. That is the horseshoe magnet, and both the this upper end of this torsion head and the lower end of this are connected to the terminals T1 and T2. A small soft iron core, cylindrical soft iron core C is placed symmetrically inside this rectangular coil and is placed between the poles of the horseshoe magnet. And when the plane of the coil in all position remain parallel to the magnetic field, it is said to be radial. The radial character of the magnetic field happens because it is a cylindrical soft iron core and the poles of this magnetic fields are curved, so that the core is in parallel to the magnetic field. The cylindrical core is parallel to the magnetic field in all direction, so the magnetic field is radial in nature. Now we can discuss the theory of a moving coil galvanometer. Consider a rectangular coil is having n number of turns which is placed between the poles of a magnetic field having intensity B. Let L prime be the length of the coil and B is the breadth. The current flowing through the coil is I. Now, for all position of the coil, the plane of the coil is parallel to the magnetic field as the magnetic field is radial. Now we can derive the torque in that coil. Before that, we know M is equal to, for n turns, Ni into A, where A is the area of loop or coil. Then torque is equal to M cross B. For a radial field, I am going to write it as MB, that is equal to Nia into B. N is the number of turns, I is the current flowing, A is the area of the coil, and B is the magnetic field intensity. Now we can find out the impulse or angular impulse, which is the change in momentum, or it can be represented as force into displacement. Angular impulse is the change in momentum or is equal to the force into displacement. Okay, then angular impulse produced in a time dt. Angular impulse in a time dt is equal to tau into dt, which is equal to NIAB into dt. That is the angular impulse for having the short interval of time dt. Then for the total time interval, total angular impulse for the time t, or t time, is equal to 0 to t tau dt. That is, the total angular impulse 0 to t tau dt is equal to 0 to t NBIA into dt. In this we can take outside NBA into integral 0 to t I dt, and we know I is equal to dq by dt and I dt is equal to dq. Q is equal to integral 0 to t. Q is equal to integral 0 to t I dt. So we can replace here the total impulse is equal to NBA into Q. where Q is the total charge passing through the coil. Total charge passing through the coil Q. That is the total angular impulse. Now we know I is the moment of inertia passing through the moment of inertia of the coil about the axis of coil, and omega is the angular velocity. We can say the change in angular momentum in that coil can be represented as change in angular momentum. Can be represented as I into omega. And we know the angular impulse is equal to change in angular momentum. So we can write I omega is equal to NBA into Q and give it as equation number 1. We know kinetic energy of the rotating system can be half into I omega square, which can be used to twist a fiber by an angle theta. Let C be the couple per unit twist. C be the couple per unit twist. We can represent the work done to twist a fiber by an angle theta can be is equal to work done to twist a fiber by an angle theta can be is equal to half into C theta square, where C is the couple per unit twist. So from this we can write half into I omega square, which is also equal to the work done to twist a fiber. That is implies I omega square is equal to C theta square, which is equation number 2. Now we know the period of oscillation of coil T is equal to 2 pi root I by C. I am going to square this equation, that is T square is equal to 4 pi square I by C. Now we can rearrange this equation to get the expression for I, that's equal to C T square by 4 pi square, and this is equation number 3. We know from equation number 2 I omega is equal to I omega square is equal to C theta square. That is equation number 2. Now I am going to multiply this equation 3 into 2. LHS with LHS and RHS with RHS. That implies I into I omega square, that is I square omega square is equal to C theta square into C T square, that is C square theta square T square by 4 pi square. Then I got an expression for I square omega square in terms of couple per unit twist and time period, and also the angle. Now I omega will be equal to C theta T divided by 2 pi. That is equation number 4. You know equation number 1, that is I omega is equal to NBAQ. Now I am going to substitute here. This is equation number 1. When 4 in 1 implies NBAQ is equal to C theta T by 2 pi. That is NBAQ is equal to C T theta by 2 pi, which implies Q is equal to T by 2 pi C by NBA into theta. Q is equal to T by 2 pi C by NBA into theta. This is the expression for the charge flowing, that is Q, the charge flowing through that coil. And we can say it is the relation between the charge flowing and the ballistic throw theta in that coil, theta in that galvanometer. That is, you can find out the charge flowing or the time period or any of the components from this equation. This is the relation connecting the charge flowing and the ballistic throw. Theta is known as the ballistic throw. sorry, I have erased the figure. This is the mirror. When the coil oscillates, the mirror also oscillates. Then the oscillation of this mirror can be obtained from a scale which is placed opposite to this coil. That is, here it is a ballistic galvanometer or a moving coil galvanometer. Along the phosphor bronze fiber there will be a mirror. When the fiber or the coil oscillate, the mirror also starts to oscillate by a small angle. That can be observed when we place a scale in the opposite direction. Then we can obtain the rotation or oscillation of this coil or mirror from the scale. That deviation or the angle or the oscillation is known as the ballistic throw. We know Q is equal to T by 2 pi C by NAB into theta. From this I am going to write it as Q is proportional to theta with a proportionality constant this, that is K. Q is proportional to K theta, with where K is equal to T by 2 pi C by NAB, which is known as ballistic reduction factor. Ballistic reduction factor. That is K is equal to T by 2 pi C by NAB, which is known as the ballistic reduction factor. Let the motion of the coil is damped by the presence of air resistance and an induced current is produced in that. So, we get a throw or ballistic throw which is already smaller than the correct throw which is produced in the absence of damping. So, to get the correct throw, we have to find out the damping correction and multiply with that. To find out that, let us consider theta 1, theta 2, that is the theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, etc. are the successive maximum deflections that happens from 0 to the right and left of the coil or the scale. So, in this, if there will be some damping, theta 1 to theta 2 oscillation will be damped to theta 3 to theta 4, etc. We can say theta 1 by theta 2 is equal to theta 2 by theta 3, etc. is equal to D, which is the decrement per half vibration. Decrement per half vibration. To find out the full vibration, now I am going to consider, let D is equal to e raised to lambda, where lambda is the logarithmic decrement. From this, lambda is equal to log E D, that is logarithmic decrement. That is lambda is equal to log E D. Now to find out the full vibration, we have to get theta 1 by theta 3. That is, it oscillates from here to here. That is, from here to here, and after that theta 3. Theta 1 to theta 2, then theta 2 to theta 3, then only it completes a full vibration or oscillation. So, theta 1 by theta 3 can be written as theta 1 by theta 2 into theta 2 by theta 3, which is equal to, that is, we know theta 1 by theta 2 is equal to D, and theta 2 by theta 3 is equal to D, which is equal to e raised to lambda into e raised to lambda, that is e raised to 2 lambda. So, we know theta 1 by theta 3, a complete vibration is e raised to 2 lambda. Now, if theta is the actual throw, which is in the absence of damping, and theta 1 is the first quarter vibration completed, that is the theta 1 is observed after it is completing first quarter of the vibration. So, we can write this as e raised to 2 lambda is equal to, in that case, e raised to 2 lambda into 1 by 4 to represent the first quarter of vibration, that's equal to e raised to lambda by 2. Which we can write as from first throw to the throw without, in the absence of damping, to the first throw, that is the quarter vibration. We can represent it as e raised to lambda by 2, and I am going to expand it 1 plus lambda by 2, and there will be some other terms. We can neglect the higher terms since this is already small corrections. So, theta is equal to theta 1 into 1 plus lambda by 2. This is the first row which is we observing in the presence of damping. So, we can use this equation to substitute the correction of damping in the original equation. Logarithmic decrement lambda can be obtained from the first and 10th row. That is theta 1 divided by theta 11 is equal to e raised to 10 lambda. Theta 1 divided by theta 11 is equal to e raised to 10 lambda, which implies 10 lambda is equal to log to the base e theta 1 by theta 11. That is lambda is equal to 1 by 10 log to the base e theta 1 by theta 11. We are considering here theta 1 and theta 11 to find out the correct value. Okay. Then that is to get some 10 successive approximations. That is theta 1 to theta 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then such 10 approximations are needed to calculate the value of lambda to get the approximate or accurate lambda. Now we know theta 1 is equal to theta is equal to theta 1 into 1 plus lambda by 2. We can substitute this equation in the Q. Q is equal to T by 2 pi C by NAB into theta, where this theta can be replaced by theta 1 into 1 plus lambda by 2. This is the equation to find out the charge flowing in that coil with the help of correction. Now we can find out the first successive successive maximum deflection theta 1 from the practically, and also substitute in this we can find out the current flowing or charge flowing through that coil. That is, we know N is the number of turns, A is the area of loop. By knowing L and B we can calculate this, and B is the applied magnetic field, and C is the coupled per unit is, and T is the time per time period, and theta 1 is the first ballistic throw, and lambda is the logarithmic decrement which can be obtained from this equation. So, today we have studied the construction of a moving coil galvanometer and the theory behind the moving coil galvanometer, and also we have discussed how we can correct the damping by air resistance and substitute for theta. Thank you.